I put my foot up in my ass. That guy, hell.
You better move out my way.
I stuck my foot up your mother's ass, bitch ass nigga. Fuck you, nigga, oh bitch ass. Nigga, fuck you. Say a motherfucker. What you say a motherfucker like
It's
that?
alright.
Oh bitch ass up in my camera. Oh bitch ass. I'll fuck your mama.
I'll go to
Oh
church and
bitch
get married.
ass.
I'll go to
Oh
church and
bitch
get married.
ass.
I'll go to
Oh
church and
bitch
get married.
ass.
Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I saw this video of these kids interacting with a police officer, and I saw some things that were clearly disturbing to all of us. I don't think you have to be a genius to to see what was problematic about the video. The big headline on this story is obviously what the officer said, which was he told the kids in response to whatever they were saying to him that he didn't like. He said, "Don't go to church and get hurt," which obviously was a horrible joke to make. Highly insensitive. It should be the kind of thing that should get you fired, because you just can't do that. As an officer, your job is to serve and protect, and to serve and protect, you must also protect and respect. And I don't think that this officer was showing respect to the people in the community by making a joke like that right after the Charleston massacre took place. Now, what was interesting to me about the video is that it's hard to talk about this video without talking about the kids. All right, we have to concede the fact that that what the kids were saying was kind of problematic. I mean, if you listen to these kids talk, I mean, I effed your mama, F you nigga, stuff like that. And you wonder to yourself, where do kids learn how to even talk like this to a police officer? Where does this come from? I think anybody who's being rational about this whole conversation can't, is going to look at this and not just pretend like the kids didn't say a bunch of really interesting stuff. And so, when I see this and I think about this as a black man, I think about a few things. One, clearly, I think most of us agree that we don't want to raise our kids to address police officers in this fashion. No question about that. I think that in itself, as an isolated issue, can be addressed without somehow excusing certain behavior just because racism is real. However, you have to also think about what's happened in terms of the relationship between the police and the black community. For the most part, the black community has been in an occupied state. We have majority black communities with majority white police departments patrolling those communities, which is interesting because you don't see any white communities with majority black police departments patrolling them. So white people have us under occupation in many of our communities. And so what has happened, in my opinion, is that the relationship between the police force and local residents has gotten so poisoned that you now have children who are being raised to really think like Iraqi insurgents. If you think about Iraqi insurgents, or young Iraqis, or people in the Middle East who have seen the United States, drop drones on daycare centers and kill children and do these horrible things to their communities, they're not going to grow up with respect for American soldiers. They're going to grow up hating American soldiers. So while you can certainly say the behavior is disrespectful, you can see how the treatment of police toward people of color has created a lot of this disrespect. And also, I would argue that maybe these kids are picking up cues from adults in their families who have had bad interactions with the police. If you have a relative, a father or an uncle or a mother who was harassed by the police, beaten by the police, taken to jail by the police, maybe locked up for something they didn't do and had to do time because they couldn't afford a good lawyer, as a child, you're not going to grow up wanting to be a cop. You're not going to grow up respecting cops. You're going to see cops as the enemy. So what we have to see is that there is an economy of negative energy that is recursive, that is sort of flowing back and forth between the black community and police departments, largely because police don't seem to really be interested. Police as a collective unit. I'm talking about law enforcement in general. They're not interested. They don't seem all that interested in really budging in terms of their policies and their treatment of people of color. But we have indisputable evidence that the criminal justice system is racially biased. People all around the world have been citing constantly, reiterating to the United States, look, your criminal justice system's out of control. The way you're treating black people is unbelievable. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You are perpetuating a Holocaust that would make Hitler proud. So you need to check yourself, because what you're doing is ridiculous. And not only are you hurting people of color, but ultimately that comes back to you, because these people of color, these children are growing up, and they're not growing up wanting to respect the cops. Why would you? Why would you? I mean, if all you've seen is negative, and all you've seen are police hurting your relatives and your loved ones, there's not a good reason to address them in a positive, favorable way. Because I guarantee you that if certain other people had gone through that hood, who've done good things in that community, they wouldn't be saying those things to that person. So, so in this video, it's clearly disturbing on both ends. I think most of us raise our children to respect authority on some level. But for the officer to come back and make this kind of a joke, it really bothered me. And then the other thing that's interesting about this as well is you can't help but to connect the disrespect that has grown toward police to the war on drugs, the failed war on drugs, where basically it was pretty much a war on black people. History has shown us this. African Americans ended up being incarcerated at rates that just literally were just absolutely unbelievably historic. There are still hundreds of thousands of very strong, intelligent black men, fathers, husbands, etc., members of the community, men who would have gone on to be CEOs, who would have gone on to raise children, who would have gone on to become productive members of society, who are serving very, very long sentences for non-violent drug offenses. If your sentence was longer than 10 years and you didn't hurt anybody, you're a non-violent offender for a drug offense, then you are effectively a political prisoner. You are a political prisoner, because the laws that led to your extensive incarceration were the result of not some sort of moral and ethical failing on your part. They were the result of not just failed policy, but policy that was deliberately targeted toward the extermination of African American people, starting with black men. And so as a result, families have fallen apart because of this. You still have brothers. I went to see a brother not too long ago out of Chicago named Mario Lloyd, who sold a lot of cocaine. He doesn't dispute that. But when they sent him to prison, they incarcerated his mother, his sister, his brother, and him. They gave him 15 life sentences. He's been in prison since 1990. So that's 25 years, 25 years he's done in prison. He should be out by now. He didn't kill anybody. There's no, he didn't go out and murder anybody, right? We know selling drugs is bad, absolutely, no question about that. But guess what? Guess what drug was actually rated as the most dangerous drug in our society? Alcohol. Alcohol was rated to be more dangerous than cocaine, than heroin, than cigarettes, than crack, anything. Alcohol is the most dangerous drug in our society, largely because we think it's safe because it's legal. But so if you want to talk about morality, then everybody who sells alcohol is immoral. Everyone who sells guns is immoral. Guns kill a lot more people than drugs do, or at least I'm sure that they're neck and neck. I don't know which one wins out, but both of them are unhealthy. So my point on that issue is that if you want to teach somebody a lesson, you give them 7, 8, 9, 10 years in prison. That's enough to teach somebody a lesson. For some people, a week in prison is enough to teach them a lesson that they'll never forget. If you want to rehabilitate them, you give them a decade to think about what they did wrong, to regret what they did wrong, and to make things right, to pay their debt to society. But when you give people life sentences for crimes that are nonviolent, you're not only engaging in draconian, excessive punishment and incarceration, you're also destroying families, because those children are now growing up without a parent. So they end up being those little kids who grow up saying, fuck the police, fuck your mama, I hate you nigga, get out of my fucking neighborhood. That's what you grow up with. That's what you're going to get. And I've seen this very, very close. I know a guy who got a life sentence in prison, and I know his children. If you blew a cop's brains out in front of in front of his kids, they wouldn't care. They would have no sympathy because they're thinking, you know what? It's okay for somebody to take away the cop's children's daddy because somebody took away my daddy. So what you got to understand is that when you create this negative energy, when you go into and when you go into a battle with that kind of an appetite for racist destruction, you're not only destroying your enemy, you're also destroying yourself, and and in this case, we're destroying our society because we won't let go of this war on drugs. Right now, I'm looking at President Obama, and I'm saying, you know what? You have a powerful ink pen. You have a powerful pen. You could pick up your ink pen right now, and you could free 20,000 nonviolent drug offenders. You could free 20,000 of them. About 30,000 people have applied for clemency. Many of these individuals have paid their debt to society. Many of them have had good behavior in prison. Many of them have been in prison since Dougie Fresh was a teenager. Maybe it's time to go ahead and let some of these political prisoners out. It doesn't mean every inmate is a good person. It doesn't mean you should let everybody out. If somebody's violent or they're a molester or they're a rapist or whatever, that's, you have a different type of punishment for that. Absolutely. But if somebody was selling 2 grams of cocaine at the age of 18, they shouldn't be in prison at the age of 55. That's sick. That's absolutely positively sick. So that's all I really want to say about this. That's my analysis on this thing. I know the cop thing kind of extrapolates into other areas, but what I really see when I look at these little children as young as 6 already telling a police officer, "I'll fuck your mama," or whatever the little boy said, and I'm just raw. I just talk the way I talk. So if cuss words offend you, I apologize. But everybody cusses, so whatever. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. I do. But when I see kids as young as 6 saying things like that to a person that should get respect wherever they go, it tells me that you have a poisoned relationship, and fixing that poison doesn't just fall on the backs of the parents and the children. Why would the parents teach their children to respect people who come around in uniforms and harass and beat and slaughter black people and think that they are above the law? Why in the world would I teach my child to respect a person like that? In fact, I would probably want to teach my child to fight back against somebody like that, and that's what you're kind of up against. So if the authority figures in our society don't learn how to address their policies in an honest and ethical way and make things right, then the problems will only compound. You're only going to see mass incarceration get worse in our country. You'll only see the streets become that much more dangerous for police, and you'll only see the continuous downward spiral that we were seeing in this video. And just for the record, in case anybody wants my one-dimensional, simple analysis of the whole situation, for the record, what the cop said was wrong. He had an obligation to be the adult. I don't care what a child says to you. You don't say something like that. So that's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.